Throughout Skyrim, there are many tales to be told. Legendary heroes, mythic divines, and epic conflict. Many lesser-known ones will be told here, but first is the story of the teller. I was born to a noble family of Kolovia, residing just outside of Skingrad. My childhood was one of privilege and comfort, really of no consequence. All that changed when the wheels of fate turned in the 174th year of the Fourth Era. After 4 long years of conflict with the Aldmeri Dominion, elven forces approached the Imperial City. The Emperor, Titus Mede II, summoned my grandfather, a member of the Blades Order, to his private chambers. "As you know," he said, "the capital may not hold against the Aldmeri, and they will seek to destroy anything related to Tiber Septim and his ascension to godhood as Talos. And I understand your daughter is a scholar studying the tomes of Tiber Septim. What may be my final order to you is this. You are to take the tomes under your daughter's care and spirit them both away for safekeeping. Tell none of where you are going." In the dead of night, they made their passage through the enemy lines to our family estate, knowing that for the time being, they would be safe there. It was there that I saw my mother in the company of my grandfather, a man I had never known. My world had been changed irrevocably, and yet I hardly knew it. Grandfather spoke in hushed tones with my father about the events that engulfed the Imperial City and of the siege that surrounded it. As the head of a noble house and former Legion commander, my father knew where his duty lay. He donned his old armor and set out to gather a force to march out in relief of the besieged Emperor. Through his efforts, the Emperor escaped the city, but my father died in the process. I was too young to head the family properly, so my grandfather stayed on to guide me. He was a hard man, from the same province of High Rock, Alcair, that was rumored to have produced Hjalti Earlybeard, who later became Tiber Septim. He sought to train me in the ways of a blade, sword, shield, bow, and more. Meanwhile, my mother taught me all there was to know from the tomes of Tiber Septim. His history, his tactics, and his knowledge of the tongue, or Thu'um. Years passed and my skills improved in many ways. My grandfather decided it was time for him to go. The Thalmor hunted the last of the Blades, and his continued presence would only endanger the family and the tomes. I would never see him again. I grew older and reached the height of my manhood. I had dedicated my life to the teachings of my grandfather and to the knowledge passed down from Tiber Septim in the tomes. In time, I, too, could perform some basic shouts. But if this were to be discovered, everything would be at risk. I had come to a decision. The family holdings would be sold, and then I would escort my mother back to her people in Alcair, and there hide the tomes. After that, just like a young General Talos, I would travel to Skyrim in hopes of furthering my knowledge of the Thu'um. I arrived by sea in Solitude. As the seat of imperial power in Skyrim, it provided me the clearest path to leveraging my family name. In time, I used that same influence to gain audience with many of the petty Jarls and put myself at their service and gain their confidence. It was during this time that I met a young woman of interest. Her name was Fiona. Sharp-eyed and quick-witted, but she had no family of her own. So I took her on as my protege and ward. I trained her as my grandfather trained me, but I will admit that her skill with a bow far exceeded my own. She is now my closest ally and confidant. On one of my many tasks for the Jarls, I investigated some strange occurrences at a cave at the behest of High King Torrig. There I thwarted the attempts to revive the spirit of Potema the Wolf Queen by means of necromancy. The king awarded me with a thainship, and I purchased my ironically named Tower of the Wolf. Under my new title, I no longer used my family surname and took up Vex. Once again heading up a noble house, it was time to move forward with my plans. I had found an abandoned priory near a small hamlet named Riverwood and purchased it with a goal in mind. It was to serve as a base away from prying eyes, to house my growing ranks of allies, and provide me the freedom to expand my own power. Sadly, while I was away attending other business, Ulfric Stormcloak killed High King Torrig. So now Elisif stands alone in solitude, and Skyrim finds itself embroiled in a civil war. More disturbing, however, and to my amazement, my sources have informed me that dragons have been spotted in Skyrim, and that Helgen has been destroyed by dragon fire. So, there you have it, my tale. And now, if you'll excuse me, there is much work to be done.